Welcome to Session 17 of the Mobile Suit Gundam course. Let's tackle the latter half of The Battlefield is a Wilderness. As usual, the first half recap of a 30-minute episode ate 30 minutes, so I'll try to race through the back half. Last time I said this story plays out as a finite, imperfect information zero-sum game, meaning it's a zero-sum war. One side wins, the other loses, where neither side shares full intel, and it ends the moment someone is taken out. You'll see why I laid that groundwork in a bit. We left off with Amuro telling a lie. Quick recap. Bright takes the evacuees who want to disembark, uses them to deceive Zeon, and quietly stations Gundam by the lakeshore before breaking the blockade. Char accepts White Base's truce request, not out of mercy, but because it buys time to ready his own forces. So while pretending to ferry civilians, they covertly stash Gundam near the lake, and Amuro befriends a mother and child among the evacuees. The mother says, "I want my son to grow up on Earth. You space kids couldn't understand." And he lies, "I've never lived on Earth." That's the basic setup. White Base's plan works beautifully. The transport plane, the Gunperry, fakes a malfunction and emergency lands during the evacuation. And of course, Kai pulls his usual trickery. It's a great episode for his scheming side. He plants charges on the Gunperry, blows open a panel, and lets smoke pour out so it looks genuinely busted, grinning the whole time. The evacuees flee, the pilots bail separately, and the abandoned Gunperry sits there with Gundam hidden inside. At that point, everything seems perfect. The Zeon recon team buys the crash as legit. But instead of flying off, the two Zeon soldiers aboard the scout craft turn out to be decent guys. In Gundam, whenever a good-hearted older man appears, you just know a sentimental tale is coming. It's downright Mito-komon. They see the evacuees running and worry. There was a kid in there. They were only supposed to verify the evacuation, yet they end up looking the civilians in the eye. That same kid waves at them through the window, and the older pilot can't help waving back. Once you make contact like that, a bond forms. They're no longer anonymous evacuees or enemies. Exchanging waves creates a connection. So the captain starts worrying about those civilians. "Captain, all right, let's swing back." "Wingman, you're worried about that mother and child, aren't you? We'll get chewed out." "Captain. Captain Garma's still young. He wouldn't get how we feel." I love that line. He wouldn't get how men like us feel, later on in the episode. He's basically saying, we're not in this war because we want to be, and we're nothing like glory seekers such as Garma. Portraying that in animation is stylish and risky. Once you open that door, there's no because the hero has to win, and winning ultimately means killing the other guy. That's why, before Gundam, human-on-human combat was almost absent from Japan's long history of robot anime. Sure, there were occasional exceptions before this. In Super Robot Mach Baron, for example, the villain La Lashteen fights humans, but he's heavily cyberized. Or take Shocker and Kamen Rider. Every executive and the big boss turn out to be cyborgs, neatly sidestepping human versus human. As far as I know, the rare shows that dared pure human combat were things like Moonlight Mask and Rainbowman. It cranks up realism, but once you go there, plotting becomes brutally hard. The instant those two show concern for the mother and child, Gundam leaves the safe territory of the good guys win, hooray. Men like us really mean soldiers on the ground who would rather not kill, unlike the elites who preach Zeon independence. Back home, you had plenty of armchair patriots blogging, "Crush Earth, fight for independence," and doxing anyone who objected. But once those same people are deployed and forced to kill daily, that men like us mindset takes root. So even though their recon mission is done, the two of them circle back to the crash site, worried about the family that waved. Amuro, hiding inside Gundam, is begging them not to return. He ignores Ryu's order and launches. Ryu, "Amuro, where are you going?" "Amuro, stay off the radio. Their patrol's heading for that mother and kid. Doesn't that bother you?" He fears the patrol will harass or even kill the evacuees, so he rushes out. Both sides move out, driven by compassion for that family. Yet the recon pair don't attack. They drop parachutes full of rations. Amuro gasps, realizing they're just making sure the family has supplies. On radar, he watches the Zeon craft keep flying farther away. He prays, "Please don't notice me." And then comes the brilliant direction. He's so focused on them that he points Gundam's camera eye straight at the scout plane. In war, you don't paint machines in shiny colors. Gundam's armor is supposed to be matte. But because he's staring right at them, sunlight hits the camera lens and flashes. That glint reveals Gundam's position, so the scouts turn back. "What was that?" they say, flipping off the missile safety. Amuro curses, "They spotted me," and raises the beam rifle. Seconds earlier they were risking themselves for strangers, and now they're professionals ready to kill each other. That whiplash between mercy and combat drives the episode. Sometimes they show kindness to uninvolved civilians. But the moment the conflict is direct, they coolly resume the kill-or-be-killed mindset. Even then, Amuro can only shoot at their engine. He can't bring himself to hit the cockpit. Because he too has started to feel like one of those men. Note that Amuro and the scouts never actually shared a heartfelt moment. He did get a good look at them earlier, while peeking out of the Gunperry with Fra Bow. So yes, he knows what they look like, but there's no real bond. The lone connection is that they both worried about the same family. The moment that happened, the battle stopped being a zero-sum game for Amuro. As I explained last time, a non-zero-sum game is like a kidnapping case. Kidnappers don't really want to kill, they want money. Police don't want the hostage to die, they want an arrest. They're on opposite sides about arrest versus escape, but they share a desire to keep the hostage alive. That's non-zero sum. So this fight turned non-zero sum for Amuro. Throughout the episode, the very rules of the game keep shifting toward the climax. Since he saw them drop aid, he can't bring himself to kill those two. That's why, later in Icelina Love's Remains, he's shattered when she cries, "You killed Lord Garma." He thought he merely sniped the Gaw to help White Base survive. Never mind that the ship fired the beam barrage. But with the beam javelin, he tore holes in the carrier, helping kill Garma Zabi. He had no awareness of it at the time. So when Icelina screams, "Avenge Garma!" it hits him. Enemies die because of him, and women grieve because of it. That emotional arc only works because of the groundwork in this episode. The battlefield as a wilderness may look like a small character piece, but it's a major turning point for Amuro. Meanwhile, on White Base, their sucker punch on Zeon works, and Bright is ecstatic. Rather than the plot, watch the character acting here. Fra. It's Gundam, Sayla. Exactly as planned. Amuro, take them from behind. Bright. Alright, White Base, focus every gun forward. Take out those Magella attacks. Check out the relaxed expression on Bright's face. In most anime, you'd cut to a new shot for that. Cutting means you'd show a separate shot of him smiling before the command. Maybe you'd even have him point dramatically when he says, "Concentrate fire." Yasuhiko's approach is to leave it in one shot and convey his composure with just a shift of the eyes. Panicked characters face front. Confident ones give orders with a sidelong glance. That's the directing trick here. Sure, cutting would make it clearer for kids. He could throw in a big fist pump first, for instance. Or smile broadly, deliver the line, then switch to a wide shot for a sweeping jet. Cutting like that heightens the drama, but it also lets the audience relax. It's like live-action films that use long takes. In The Untouchables, every scene with Al Capone opens on a long take. There's a shot where the camera starts above him, as he shaves, rotates, and pushes in. One uninterrupted take that would be clearer if you cut it up. Or the moment when a hotel waiter hauls toast and juice upstairs, he climbs stairs, passes checkpoints, walks the corridor, gets paperwork signed, and only then reaches Capone's suite. Why shoot that in a single take? Japanese director Shinji Somai loved that style too. Because a long take builds tension. Even if you don't notice it first, part of you realizes, wait, they haven't cut, and you almost... Animation works the same way. Cutting keeps things punchy, but it bleeds away a bit of tension. So Gundam lingers on shots for 5 seconds instead of the usual 2 or 3 to keep that edge. They do it specifically to preserve the tension. Yoshikazu Yasuhiko's acting direction nails that subtlety. Moments like this simply won't land unless the animator executing Tomino's notes is superb. No matter what Tomino scribbles in the storyboard, you need a skilled artist to pull off that expression. They even contrast a wilted Lieutenant Reed in back with the confident Bright up front, like some North Korean devotional painting. Laughs. That kind of staging is subtle and masterful. Thanks for watching. That's the end of the free half. Bright's acting in that last shot is great, isn't it? It's a shame they accidentally painted whites in his eyes. That's just a coloring error. We've watched so much anime that we spot the right colors instantly. Back then they were still painting cells by hand on the reverse side. So who was doing the painting? During the Space Runaway Ideon campaign, the promo director lectured me about it. He told me, "You kids think anime belongs to you, but it's really the housewives in Tohoku painting cells when the fields are fallow." From November through January, production goes up, but in March and April, their kids start kindergarten, they have to make lunches, and they can't paint anymore. They say, "We did 100 cells a day yesterday, but this week we can only manage 50. Spring break episodes look fine, but Golden Week and summer shows end up with fewer drawings. He laughed. That was Mr. Nobe from Sunrise's publicity team, laying it out for me. It hit me. Anime isn't made just by us, and the stylish folks in Tokyo people all over Japan build it. That's how it was back then. It's different now, but during Gundam's era, it really worked that way. Those ladies weren't thinking, Bright's eyes don't get any white. They just said, hey, someone forgot to paint this, and filled it in themselves. Then the staff would screen the rushes, the freshly developed film, for the director and assistants to review. Every time they'd find something, the colors popped, wrong palette, misplaced cell, background sliding the wrong way. Mistakes you'd never imagine kept cropping up. They'd triage them by severity, fix the unforgivable ones first, then the next worst. Only near the end could someone ask, Bright's eye looked white. What do we do? And they'd sigh. Tamino won't like it, but let's let it go. So the expressive yet white-eyed Bright stayed. That's the backstory. Letting Bright emote almost entirely through his face is what some derisively call face manga. Years ago, delinquent comics like Bebop High School were huge, and they were nothing but close-ups. Panel 1. A face yelling, "You wanna go, punk?" Next panel, another face barking, "Say that again. Then I'll smash you," and oh yeah. That kind of close-up-only manga is easy to draw and fakes tension, so plenty of artists still do it, especially in ladies' comics. But lean on it too hard, and animation starts feeling cheap. A recent example that made me go, wow, look at that, was the Legend of the Galactic Heroes run that streamed on Netflix. Legend of the Galactic Heroes is basically a face anime. Every moment it's zooming in on someone barking, "Fire!" or "Launch them." I figured the production schedule must have been brutal, so they had no choice but to go full-face anime. Laughs. Bright's acting in this episode is that same shortcut letting faces carry the load. Still, with tiny eye shifts and Lieutenant Reed's weary mug behind him, it turns into a memorable scene.